Yep. Yeah. Ooh, it is still January.
Oh my god!
Hey. Awful. The Fifth Wave is a sci-fi action-adventure movie written by Akiva Goldsman, the guy who wrote A Beautiful Mind. He also wrote Batman and Robin, but I'll get to that later. Susanna Grant and Jeff Pinker. It's also directed by Jay Blakeson, and it's basically about aliens taking over the planet in different waves. The first wave took out all the electricity, the second was an earthquake that shook the whole world, the third brought disease to the earth, the fourth basically ripped off the thing and put people on the earth that aren't people, they're aliens, and took all the suspense out of it, and the fifth wave, well, that's a mystery. And you'll have to watch the movie to find out. Or I'll do a spoiler review, because, ooh, this is not worth seeing. First off, Chloe Grace Moretz plays the main character, Cassie. She's alright in the dialogue scenes, but whenever she's directed to do anything physical, for example, running, panting, crying, screaming, which is like 95% of this movie, she's terrible. And hey, I like her as a person and an actor. I think that she's quite talented, but really, her performance is laughable in this movie. And for the record, I am blaming the direction for her bad performance. Oh yeah, and the directing overall in this movie is not memorable at all. I mean, there are a couple interesting shots, and you could see that the director almost cared in some of the scenes, but apart from that, really not that great. That being said, though, probably the best person in the entire cast. It just goes downhill from there. Oh, does it go downhill? Ron Livingston, the guy from Office Space, plays Cassie's dad, and I kinda liked him. He fits the generic dad role. He looks the part, and he acts decently. Like, he's definitely not the best actor in the world, but then again, any actor could play this role at all, and it would make no difference at all, because I don't care about the characters. If the writing were better, I would care. But no, yeah, you want good writing in the fifth wave? Yeah, in a teen movie. Zachary Arthur plays Cassie's little brother, and he's basically the focus of most of the movie, especially the first and third act. And wow, he's terrible. Like, he's really bad. I mean, he's only 8, but I couldn't take any of the scenes seriously that he was in. It feels like they took him from, like, the McDonald's, like, playpen. And went like, hey, do you know how to cry on camera? He's like, not really. And I'm like, you're perfect. You are perfect. You start on Monday. And yeah, I know, it's his first big role. He's only really ever been a background character, but still... No, thank you. No. Alex Rowe plays Cassie's generic husky love interest. He's actually quite good in this movie, but really anyone with a beard and abs could play this character, so not giving him too much credit. And the rest of the cast, they were alright. Really nothing special. Okay, now for the things I liked about this movie. I guess it was fun to roast with my friend. Oh, on a side note, I went with my friend Taylor, and we were the only people in the theater that weren't 12. I'm convinced of it. I could tell that they were 12. Like, they were going into year 7 because 7 of them were in a row, and they were all talking. And I'm like, wow, I honestly missed the days where I could get 7 people that I knew together at the cinemas. I mean, nowadays, people usually respond with, no, I'm broke as hell. What, you think I'm made of money? Or, oh, actually I have to work today. Or, how did you get my number? Now that that's over, this movie is generic as hell. The CGI is like Sci-Fi Channel bad. The sound mixing is honestly some of the worst sound mixing that I have ever heard in a Hollywood film. The gunshots sound like generic, crappy, like, ripped-off Mediafire compressed MP3s stolen off the internet and just chucked straight into, like, Movie Maker without any sort of control. Wah! Every single time someone shot a gun in this movie, my ears bled. Seriously, I got to the point where I just had to block my ears, and I could still hear the gunshots completely perfectly. You should have cut the gunshot sounds by like half. They were so harsh. Everything that happens in the plot is way too convenient and predictable. Like, I could honestly predict what was going to happen. I heard an axe chopping. I'm like, yep, okay, she's gonna get up, see him shirtless chopping wood. Oh, yep, okay. Predicted it. She got up when they were camping. Oh, he's not in bed. I wonder where he is. Oh, he's bathing in the river, shirtless, of course, and she's gonna see him. 30 seconds of him washing his abs. Why do I need that? The score is overused to the point where it's just painful. And there were only 2 tracks, I am convinced. There's the Inception and a really generic love song. I would not be surprised if you told me they used the Inception over 100 times in this movie. Actually, I wouldn't even be surprised if you told me that they used it 200 times in the first act. Because the whole movie, it was just me leaning into my friend and going like, blah, and then it actually happened on screen. And it was the funniest thing ever. The characters are so cookie cutter, and I'm talking about this even as a generic teen movie, and they're not even written well. For example, there's this one goth girl that I guess is supposed to be like the badass, ooh, cool army girl. But it really doesn't work. She just walks in, and then she talks to this other person, and then, like, behind her, there are these guys staring at her ass, and she's like, don't stare at my ass, or snap your fingers off. And then later on in the scene, she just straight up threatens to kill them. I'm like, why? And then this little girl next to her goes like, wow, she's cool, and it's a close-up shot. Do you know how to make a good character? Obviously not, because you wrote The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Also, one of the writers wrote Pocahontas 2, so you can trust them. They're good. Oh my god. Oh, this movie is a mess. Okay, if you are writing a screenplay right now and you're trying to get across that a character is cool and badass, actually show it. Actually show it instead of being like Cool Cat saves the kids and going like, whoa, I'm cool, woo! Cool Cat loves her, woggy woggy. This whole movie feels like it was written by a 40-year-old man. A 40-year-old man that didn't even go to high school. A 40-year-old man that was just homeschooled. Actually, I have a suspicion that Derek Savage wrote this whole movie. This whole thing. It feels like Cool Cat saves the kids when it comes to like kid dialogue. It's terrible. Everything about this movie is so predictable and crappy that there's really no point in seeing it, even as a bad movie. I mean, I had fun roasting it, but there were moments where I really did groan. I groaned out loud in the theater. I cringed. I cringed a lot in this movie, and I just had to say, no. At least, like, 30 times in the whole thing. And the romance scenes are kind of awkward because the guy that Cassie is with, actually in real life, I think he's like 7 years older than her. And in this, they look like Joel and Ellie from The Last of Us. And I'm like, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. Oh, and the fact that they're making a sequel hurts me. I'm gonna have to see that one too. I already know it. I have to see it now. Overall, is this movie good? No, it's terrible. I could really go into detail, and I did in my first review, in my first, draft of this script. It's 4 pages of dribble. If I kept on writing, it would have just been this movie. Actually, I could have just written the sequel. This, again, is proof that if I smeared crap on a page and called it a screenplay, then sent it to Hollywood, they'd be like, you know what? Does it have sequels? Can you make a sequel out of this? And is it based on a book? If so, we are gonna make this movie. Oh boy, this is gonna be a success. The teens are gonna love this. Hip hop, happening, groovy. If you love The Host or anything like that, or even the book, which I'm assuming is about as trashy teen romance novel as this whole movie is, you will absolutely love this. But if you're over the age of 14, don't even bother. This movie is a piece of shit. Just straight up, I'm just gonna say it sucks. It's not worth your time or your money, which, by the way, is 2 hours long. This movie is 2 hours long. Why? And that is why The Fifth Wave gets a 2 out of 10. And honestly, if I had like a trash can in here and I had the DVD, I would smash it and burn it. It's terrible. Have you seen this movie? Actually, I don't feel comfortable calling it a movie. If so, what did you think of it? What movie would you like me to review next? Whatever you thought, leave your comments down in the section, because that's what comments are for. Anyway, have a great day and happy watching. Unless you're watching this, then it's just trash, and don't. That would be my recommendation. Don't watch this movie ever. It sucks. It sucks. That's mine for is when she's walking and not even talking. She just has aviators on. Those are the best scenes in the whole movie, from her and anybody else. Bradley Cooper plays Neil Walker, the owner of the infomercial channel that Joy ends up putting her mop